Everything you see here is a complete computer. The total cost of all these parts is $207, including shipping. All these components are brand new in retail packaging. Nothing was bought used or refurbished. And all the parts are from name brand manufacturers.
In this video, we set out to see how cheap we could build a modern desktop computer while still using new modern components. We wanted this computer to be able to perform the normal activities of an everyday household computer, such as surfing the web, watching online content, and being useful for doing homework and light office work. We also wanted this computer to be upgradable in the future when budget allows. We purchased all parts online. We scoured the internet for the best prices, searching sites such as Amazon, Newegg, Micro Center, and other online retailers, looking for current production, modern components to build a perfectly usable desktop computer, while spending the absolute least amount of money possible. As it turns out, all components were purchased through Newegg, but that was not planned and completely coincidental.
The motherboard we went with is the ASRock H470M HVS. This is an Intel LGA 1200 motherboard. It is compatible with both 10th and 11th gen Intel CPUs and has support for DDR4 memory. This motherboard features 2 memory slots, a PCIe 16x slot, and both VGA and HDMI video outs. We paid $69.99 for this motherboard, which included free shipping. The processor we've chosen is the Celeron G5925. It is an Intel 10th Gen LGA 1200 compatible CPU featuring 2 cores, a base frequency of 3.6 GHz, and onboard video support. So we won't need a separate graphics card to run the monitor. This is the biggest savings for us, as graphics cards are the most expensive component of a computer build.
However, the onboard graphics of this CPU are only there to run the monitor and are not capable of running modern games. As such, this will not be a gaming computer. This CPU was $34 even, and also included free shipping.
Our memory for this build is this 8 gig stick of DDR4 2666 mega transfer per second memory from TimeTech. We chose this because we feel 8 gigs is the minimum needed for modern computing. We specifically went with this stick simply because it was the cheapest DDR4 we could find that was compatible with our build. We paid $24.99 with free shipping. For storage, we chose this 256GB SSD from Team Group. It will be plenty fast for our needs with read and write speeds of 520 and 430 megabytes per second respectively. It was $19 with free shipping. Our case for this build is the Roseville FMB X2 400. It is an ATX mini tower compatible with our micro ATX motherboard, and most importantly includes a pre-installed 400 watt power supply. This was chosen because it will meet our needs without forcing us to spend extra on unnecessary things like RGB, and the included power supply means that we won't be spending any additional money buying one. A great savings. We paid $59.99 again with free shipping. This is a great deal.
Let's start with the motherboard. Open the box and remove the I/O shield and the SATA cables and set them off to the side for later. Carefully take the motherboard out of the box and remove it from its anti-static bag. Place the rest of the items back in the box and set the motherboard on top of the box, which makes a convenient workbench. Now let's open the CPU box. Remove the fan and heatsink and set those off to the side, and then take out the processor. This 2-core Celeron processor will be plenty powerful for this computer. If you are wondering why we haven't chosen a more powerful processor, the reality is, for the 99% of people who don't game and are not content creators, you haven't needed a more powerful computer since the Windows XP days of the early 2000s. Today's computers are massively overpowered for most of the things they will be used for. And for the 1% of you who plan to actually use this computer for work, such as light word processing and the occasional Excel spreadsheet, those incredibly intensive tasks require the processing power of a Texas Instruments graphing calculator from 1992. So yeah, this processor is complete overkill for those kinds of uses as well.
Open the CPU cover. Gently set the CPU in the slot. Make sure to align the little triangles in the bottom corner. The CPU should drop in easily. Don't force it. Close the cover as shown. Take the cooler the processor came with. Because the CPU is only 58 watts, it won't generate a lot of heat, and the included heatsink and fans are plenty capable of keeping it cool. This means we don't have to buy an additional CPU cooler, and that just means more savings for us.
Notice that there is already thermal compound applied to the base of the heatsink. It will work just fine, so no need to buy any. Even more savings. Install the cooler by pressing down on the tabs in a cross pattern. Now plug in the fan to the one marked CPU fan.
Remove the stick of memory from its package. Install the stick of memory in the RAM slot, paying attention to the small dimple here. Line the stick up with the notch. Press down on the ends until you hear a click at each end. It doesn't matter which slot you use since we are using single rake memory. Let's open the box and remove the case.
The way. Now flip the whole thing, the whole case. Grab it. Go. No, just all the way over. Keep going, and the styrofoam off, and take the bag.
Remove the side panels.
Oh, like this?
Take it out.
I'm stupid.
Done. Don't do anything yet. Straight back. There you go, and move the panel.
Lay the case on its side and remove the bag of screws and power cable. Take the I/O shield from earlier and install it in the opening from the inside. Press until it clicks into place.
And the top corner. There you go. Grab the motherboard by the heatsink and carefully lower it into the case. Make sure the 4 holes in the motherboard line up with the nipples in the case. Also make sure the I/O shield has lined up correctly. Yep. Take the screws out of the bag and screw down the motherboard. Plug the motherboard cable in here. The cable labeled CPU power goes here. Plug in the pre-installed case fan. Follow the instructions in the manual for the front I/O connections. This case has both USB 3.0 and 2.0. Plug the USB 3.0 in here. Plug the USB 2.0 here. The front audio plugs in here.
Take a SATA cable that was included with the motherboard and plug it into one of the SATA plugs here.
Take it out.
Take your SSD and plug in the SATA cable and power cable and then install it into the case.
Pull. Stow the rest of your unused cables neatly, and secure your cables with zip ties.
You're all done. The computer is complete.
Connect your monitor. If you don't have a computer monitor, just use your TV, preferably the unused 42-inch sitting in your closet. It will work just fine, even if it's a 4K TV, as this computer can output a true 4K signal. In fact, this is probably the only 4K content ever sent to that TV, since almost all media currently consumed is still at 1080p or less, including all broadcast and cable TV, DVDs, and regular Blu-ray discs. But just remember to upgrade to an 8K TV this Christmas. Connect the keyboard and mouse. Don't have one laying around? Just buy a set at Walmart for less than $10. Our keyboard, mouse, and monitor all came bundled with a Dell computer we threw away almost 10 years ago, and they all still work just fine.
Plug in the computer. Don't forget to switch it on.
Switch on. Good job. As far as installing Windows, if you don't know, Microsoft basically made Windows 10 free. You can go to their website on a different computer, and using a USB thumb drive of at least 16 gigabytes, Microsoft will let you make a boot drive that you can then use to load Windows 10 onto a new computer. Plug in the thumb drive and start your computer. Windows should begin installing. If you want to go online, you will need to plug your computer into your router here.
And there you have it. Your new desktop computer for less than $210. Not bad. Later on, you can double up the memory or swap out the CPU for a more powerful one. If you want to game with this computer, buy a nice cheap graphics card like a 1050 Ti or a RX 580 for $100. For an additional $100, you can upgrade the processor to an Intel i3 10100 or even a 10400. That would make this a formidable gaming machine capable of running the latest games at max settings in 1080p.
So there you go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our video, and if you do, please like and subscribe, because in a follow-up video, we will build a brand new esports gaming rig for a little over $250. So stay tuned for that. Bye-bye.